Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuhu. I am Alanisa Sada Salahadin, and welcome back to Her and Her Deen, where the goal is, because I'm thinking, it could be a goal, maybe a mantra, I don't know, wherever it fits, make it work. However, the objective is to make holistic peace a little more every day. And yeah, that's the focus. We here. That's what we're focusing on. Trying to make holistic peace a little more every day. Holistic peace is it's not easy to come by. Let me say that. It's not easy to come by, and it definitely is an effort. It's one of those things that requires effort. Like we have to make an intentional stride towards it. It does not just happen. It's not just guaranteed wearing a hijab. It's not just guaranteed praying regularly. It's not just guaranteed doing charity, having babies, getting married, not acquiring debt. Anything you can think of that you would normally equate to having arrived at a state of holistic peace. Yeah, no, sis, you're going to have to do a little bit more than acquire those things. You really are going to have to continuously replenish yourself, put into yourself, take things out of yourself. Like in my other video, letting some things go. Maybe I'll do a video specifically on that, just letting things go. But for today I wanted to readdress what I said in my previous video. I said a lot of good things in that video. I watched my own videos. I have to, because I'm a critic. I'm a critic of myself, and it's very crucial that I get out of my own way, by the level of standard that I set even to share. I too still suffer from the same psychosis that plagues woman, and that inner voice is sometimes louder than my voice that I'm using, my external expression. And so I work very hard to make sure that who I am expressing myself to on all of the platforms that I'm on and in my everyday life is a real person. If you meet me in real life, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed I'm the same person. Fingers crossed I'm the same person, because I have met people in real life. I'm sorry. In real life, and apparently I'm different. I don't know how, but sometimes, perception, people see what they want to see, hear what they want to hear in you. And apparently, sometimes I'm supposed to be a little holier than I am. And I don't know how to apologize for that, but I'm grateful that, people see such value and virtue in me. And Allahu Akbar, yes. So again, back to our mission today. Our mission is to make a little holistic peace every day. However, today I wanted to get on here and I wanted to talk about the inner dimensions of womanhood. I touched on it a little bit. I just kind of dove right into the topic because it was something that just sat so heavy on me, and I battle with coming here, getting to this one space. One, because my life is very full. I have 3 children. I have a husband. I have a nonprofit. I have things that I've started. I craft a million things. Like, don't let one of my baby's birthday be coming up. I start crafting like a month ahead, maybe even 2 months, depending on what I'm making. And so my life is very fulfilling to me. However, I still have that yearning feeling of, there's more. There's more to life than just what I do to fulfill my life, my family, make sure that my husband has his needs met, my children have their needs met. And essentially, I've learned that there are more of my own needs that I need to focus on meeting, and it's not having them met, because in truth, a lot of the things as a woman I've learned, nobody can do it for you. Nobody is actually going to be able to really fulfill your needs. Let me say that again. Nobody other than you are going to be able to fulfill your needs. And so I didn't write down a whole bunch of stuff to make my point, but I did ask a very significant question because, like a lot of people, I have an elder, and she is actually a licensed psychologist, which I'm so grateful for. And she allows me to pour into her and get myself back. And I don't know if any of you know what that's like, to have somebody that you can pour into from your own reservoir to make sure that what you're getting back is your own stuff. And so, therapy is very beneficial in that aspect. And I enjoy it because, again, when I'm talking to her and expressing myself and my life in a progressive manner, I don't go to therapy because I'm not happy with where my life is. I actually go to therapy and have therapy because I want to make sure that I am doing what I'm supposed to do. And for all who don't know, and I will announce myself as a professional, maybe later on I'll get into all the deeds of that, but I specialize in stress management. I went to school for massage therapy and health education, and so that's why I'm one the way I am, because I went to school in my 20s and I didn't know what I needed to know. So I've continued on my education. And so therefore I've arrived at the practice of stress management and spiritual development, or holistic development, really, because in order for a person to be spiritual, you really should be holistic. You really need to know the order of your own substance, which brings me right back to here. The inner dimensions of womanhood is so many more things than we really believe we know. And I have to kind of chisel at this subject. It's not something that I could just crack it open and we can just dive right into. It really is something that I don't think we put enough thought into arriving at the state of womanhood. And it's something that women, as women, are going to have to sit with themselves and really internally reflect on what it was that you thought womanhood would be as a child, as a young girl. We're going to go all the way to the beginning, sis. We're going to get as close to the beginning as we can get without going back to your grandmama. Because in all truth, a lot of the things as a woman, you would have to go that far. I don't know if anybody has done the legwork of actually trying to study the reproductive system. However, it is definitely worthy. I just found some new stuff out, I think last night when I was studying. And yeah, the reproductive system of the woman is a very heavy-duty system. Not to say the men's isn't, but they say that the woman has all the eggs that she is ever going to have in her womb, in her uterus, in her body, when she's in her grandmother. So notice I skipped your mama. If your grandmama had your mama in her when she was in her, you was present in your mom when your grandmama had your mama. And it sounds a little tricky, but it's not. It's just saying that every woman is carrying all the babies that she will ever carry within her body. And I say that very sensitively because I am aware that people use surrogates. I'm aware that people do adopt. I am aware that people are not blessed and fortunate to carry their own babies via both of those other ways. But being mindful that your substance was cultivated long before you arrived, that's the point that I want to make. And that's the very significant point. So regardless to how your babies actually arrive, you, in your essence, was already some kind of way in a waiting, an awaiting state, because of the way the woman's body is set up to hold her babies. And so it's a precious journey. It's a precious journey. How your grandmother was loved and cared for is ultimately reflecting in how your mother was loved, cared for, and nurtured by her, not necessarily by other people, because we have all of these wonderful, like I spoke of my elder, I have an amazing mother who I spoke of in my last video, and then my grandmother too, who's extraordinary woman. Like, I'm so blessed to have these women alive today on the planet, inshallah, alhamdulillah, mashallah, alhamdulillah. But it's just a one of those things. At 41, don't forget the one, because all of it counts, but at 41 I come to this place and I sit with myself, having 2 daughters of my own, and cultivating my own substance every day. Like, reading books is cultivating your substance, cooking, cleaning is cultivating your substance, loving your children, loving your mate, doing good to your neighbors, being a praying and worshiping woman is all cultivating substance. As you're doing this over time, you really should become more of who you want to be. You shouldn't be feeling less than yourself. And I'm actually skipping, so let me slow down just a little bit. Your childhood self, she had a dream. She had something that she wanted to be later on in life. I don't know if you ever dreamt of becoming the woman that you are. When you look in the mirror, do you see the woman that you wanted to be as a child? That's a good question for all of us, because I personally, I had an issue as a young woman wearing like hats, hoodies, beanies. Baby, I just was not the one to go outside with the rollers in my hair, bonnet. The bonnet culture, I would have never subscribed to that, ever, not even on my worst day, because the era that I had before me had such a natural, beautiful aesthetic to hair, like beauty, the standard of beauty when I was in my 20s. I mean, it was not to be played with. Like, it wasn't like you really wanted to be some sort of runway catwalk ready, or at least that's the way I processed womanhood as a young girl. And so, yeah, all of the makeup books and all of this is pre-YouTube and stuff. And I didn't even know YouTube actually could have existed when I was younger, but I was so lucky to still like print. So Vogue magazine, Essence magazine, Jet magazine, all of these magazines offered me a different peek inside of what the woman forum looked like from an external than internal way. Because magazines are visual, physically visual, like page by page, it's nothing but print, vibrant colors, beautiful, what's trending, what's not trending, and I was absorbing it. I mean, Vibe magazine, Source magazine, Double XL before it like really just kind of took over, and then the other ones fell off. We had such a different genre of women that were being put on display, and then they were being removed at the same time because everything was starting to change over, and so I go back and I think for myself, what women inspired me and cultivated me to want a specific type of look, even for myself, not the way the world is like absorbing it. And they're just saying, be this, do this. I'm not focusing on that. I'm focusing on myself. And as I said, just to come to this space, I realized, you know what? There was only a handful of women that I physically like mimicked even. And even when I mimicked them, it was something about the genre of whatever artistry they were in that made me want to really just like transition, or like, I wouldn't say transform, because I've never wanted to be them, but like the way they wore their hair, the way they wore their clothes. When Mary J. Blige did Real Love and she had on that big old hockey jersey, definitely had to give me a hockey jersey. Definitely had to give me a hockey jersey. When she did what video is that? God, I can't even think of it. I can see it in my head. oh, and it's one of my favorites, but I can't even think of what it was. But just seeing her hair and this big old, these curls, and I can't, I'm so sad now that I can't even remember. I'm gonna be on YouTube trying to find that video, whatever that song is. But she had on the white puff jacket with the black glasses, and her hair was like this gold blonde, and they put it on the cover of the Vibe magazine. And I just remember like seeing that and being like, like in my room trying to figure out how to do my waves, and I did my curls in the microwave with the bundles, you know what I'm saying? I don't know, y'all might not be that old, but we used to do a lot of stuff with hair before everything got so microwave and you could just buy it in the store. I literally used to roll my hair on rollers, wet and gelled, body, pump it up, spray, everything you can think of to get them curls to set in her hair and put it in the microwave. It wasn't burning it. I mean, well, it could burn it. Let me not lie. Let me not lie. But it would burn it. However, the process of trying to mimic somebody else, I had figured out how to get the goal, the achieved, desired look. I had figured that out. And I'm going to be quite honest. Like, I probably was like 16, 17, definitely up into my 20s doing it. Because I realized I enjoyed being able to see something I like, nitpick it to make it fit me, and then putting it on myself. You know, like seeing Mary J do something and then having access to it, and then me not metamorphosing myself into her, but just identifying that cool that I saw, I could put it on and take it off, and I'm still me. I still was able to be me, but I enjoy having that freedom of choice and identity. And then, like I said, moving on throughout my life, I remember doing that. I remember sitting down with different books and magazines and seeing the errors, ERAS, change in women. And you can do it yourself. Go back and look at a woman, like we're in 2022. Drop down to 20 and go to 10. Drop down to 10, go to 2000. Drop down again, just keep going back. 2000, go back to 90. Go back to 80. Go back as far back to, I would say, the quality of woman from 1940, especially for the black woman. I'm going to be very touchy right here. Just the black woman, the Caucasian white woman, Asian woman, they might have already had these things. They might have already had privy to have had certain levels of elegance already in their culture, where they can see the transition from the young girl into the woman. But for African American women, yeah, we've had to work at this arrival state from an external, internal, and now from an internal, external again, because the waves have changed and pushed out certain levels of, let's be honest, womanness, if that's a thing. I'm gonna look that up. Question mark. I'm gonna Google that and see if that's actually a thing. However, we have arrived at a different place, and so I used the question mark when I asked a question on my paper. When you were a young girl, did you know what you wanted to be when you grew up? And I left it actually as wanted, because in all truth, the wanting could be anything. You know, the wanting is not just about what you want to be, as opposed to what kind of job you want, what kind of career you want, whether or not you want a job and you want straight into entrepreneurship. Some people really did know at an early age, like lemonade stands and doing hair at an early age, that they wanted to work for themselves. I am one of those people, but I also had a very good work ethic. Like I've always had, my mom is a really amazing woman, and so she's had a really good work ethic, and I've always had a really good work ethic. So I've held really good jobs too. However, I knew I wanted to work for myself. That's why I went to school for massage therapy at 19, and at least by the time I was 21, I was definitely completed. I suffered a loss, and then I had to take a sabbatical due to a grieving. And so I'll touch on that another day, but I definitely set out to be an entrepreneur at around 19. And so to look at it and think, man, okay, I really do want this. I've wanted this. I've worked at this. I've been doing these things to get me to this place since I was a girl. This is an amazing feeling. However, let's go and break it down just a little bit. We have all of these areas of life, all of these areas of life that are shifting us. And I said this in my other video, that things are happening in between us growing up and arriving, whether it's our external beauty and our clothes and our mindset, even some of our friends, that is really having an impact on us. And on an internal level, we have a lot more to lose than to gain. And so I'm going to say everything that's happening to us is only a challenge how we look at it. You know, the truth of it, some of it is actually helping us get real firm understandings about what it is we want for ourselves. And so I'm going to repeat that. A lot of the things that is happening to us, it's not that it's challenging us. It's helping us get real firm about what it is we want for ourselves. The inner dimensions of you is not complicated. It's only complicated and uncertain when you haven't put thought into it. But if you go back into your childlike state when you were a young girl and you think to yourself, what did you want as a child? And then what are you doing now, wherever you are? Because this is not the timeline that we're on. Anybody can ride the wave of wanting to be a millionaire, having babies, not having babies, getting married, not getting married. The world has changed so much. It ain't know what are the laws again? What are the stipulations? Who can't do what at what age? Like being realistic, but within the scope of actual truth. You know what you're supposed to be doing when you are at a certain age. The access to that is there if you wish it to be something you want to experience. If you don't, what are you doing to make sure that you don't have to deal with those things? And I have to ask God to sit on my tongue. But let's just talk about children. If you were a child in your young girl state and you played with dolls and then you realize, you know what, this is not what I want to do. Didn't you put the doll down? Didn't you walk away? Did you ask for another one for Christmas, for your birthday? Probably not. They tried to buy them for you. You played with them for a little bit. And then over time, you just fell out of interest of the dolls. So let's fast forward. Having had your own child and thinking back to when you had dolls that you didn't want, somewhere in there says you wasn't paying attention to what it is that you actually really wanted for yourself. The challenge is not loving the child. The challenge is not being a good mother. The challenge is not any of those things. The challenge at that moment of truth is a level of acceptance that you were not paying attention, and somewhere throughout the course of life you were not paying attention, and it happened, and now you have this beautiful little person who is codependent on you for the rest of their life until they develop their own way, and you're responsible for that. You are, wholeheartedly. Remember, the woman she has every child that she's ever going to hold inside of her when she's in her grandmother. Notice I did not say mother, because you were already there in your grandmother when your mother was in your grandmother. That's how imperative it is that we understand the reproductive process. The reproductive process, because it is very essential that we learn the value of what we're supposed to be doing when we're bringing children into the world. This is not about shaming anyone. This is not about pointing fingers. This is about the state of arrival and accepting a truth. That is a truth. If you have children and you didn't want children, it's okay. Just learn to appreciate and love them and cultivate them to the best level that you can get them with what you have, and love them because they're yours. And the direct reflection of it is that a woman who has a daughter should take kindness to the 10th level, especially if you did not have a kind mother. I express this from the inner dimensions component. Your mother was in your grandmother. If your grandmother didn't nurture and come and show your mother how to do those things, maybe your mom didn't have what she would have needed for you to be the best version of yourself right now today. So don't get mad. Oftentimes you hear people go on rants. Sorry, the sun is going down. We're in the sunset. Mustafa loves the sunset, my son. But we're in a ranting stage of life where everybody can say something negative and toxic, and everybody's like, yeah, me too. Cut it out. Cut it out. Cut it out. Cut it out. Forgiveness is the key. Forgive your mother. Forgive your grandmother. Look at your life and go forward. There's a lot more of you to come. If you made it this far and you didn't even pay attention, baby, what can you do if you pay attention? What can you do if you really take your inner dimensions, your inner parts of yourself, and go forward? I don't want to make it one size fit all and say, oh, these are the inner dimensions to woman. I want you to take your time and unpack your own quality of life stuff. Oh, there go my boss lady. Kai. Kai. Sorry, y'all. My boss lady woke up. I can hear her. I'm downstairs. Oh, get Fatima. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I want you to take your time and look at your life. You know, I will have a system that I'm working on it at this time, because I have other projects that I'm also utilizing the same information for. And so I want you to sit with yourself and think about when you were a child, as a young girl. I mean, if you're a guy and you're watching, okay, alhamdulillah, no shame. But think about yourself if you're a man, think about yourself as a young boy, what you wanted when you became a teenager. Teenagers and young adulthood is not the same. If you go and look it up, you will see that there are several different rites of passage that come up from certain age to age to age. However, we're going to break it down, go from a child to a young adult, and then take young adulthood, and you're going to merge that right on into wherever you are and look at it to see if, in fact, you wanted any of the things that you have in your life. Come on. Oh, and then there's Mustafa. Like I said, y'all, I don't have no problems with my life. So we're not editing this. But, yeah. Did you want any of the things you have? Hi, go this way. Did you want any of the things? Oh, hi, Mustafa. Any of the things that you have, that you want them? And so, if not, then I wish you to look at it. See what you can do to make it better. If it's yours, we have to start accepting the truth that is presented to us in our life. We have to start accepting it, because there's more to come. But the fact of the matter is, everything that you are doing with yourself is a biological representation of everything that is to come from you. Your children are biologically yours, and they either look like you, or they look like the other person, or they look like a collective mosaic of everybody, and we have to get better at really, hey, what's the matter? We have to get better at handling our own substance. That way we can have what we want out of everything. Hey, Mustafa, this is my seat, man. They all over here fighting me. And so, yes, I don't position my camera different, because now, ma'am, is possibly getting uncomfortable. Okay, here, let's move this. Sorry, y'all. I got 50 million, nope, that's not gonna work. 50 million things to adjust to. I was trying to handle my business. But we have to get to a place where we truthfully want and have whatever it is we want and have our life to be. We want what our life to be. We want what our life is to be. Sorry, I'm like fumbling my words all over the place. Because in our truth, we cannot waste no more substance. We can't afford it. We literally have more to lose than to gain, especially as women, by not paying attention to the quality of what we're allowing ourselves to, one, be subjected to holistically. And I wrote it down because I wanted to be very clear. When I'm using holistic, I am speaking about all of the states that you could possibly exist in. And there's different orders for different people. I have another video on a holistic assessment. You can figure that out for yourself. However, spiritually, mentally, physically, and emotionally, these are the 4 states that really do make us up. On any given day, it can change. So you're not guaranteed to wake up the way you went to bed tomorrow. You're not guaranteed to have all your days be the same. Physically, spiritually, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. You're not guaranteed to have any of these things. However, with a level of holistic discipline, you can actually put it into perspective for yourself and set higher standards for yourself. I'm pointing into our head because as women, 75% of life is happening in our head before it ever physically manifests outside of us. And that may be the most dangerous part for us in our truth. If your grandmother had any level of an emotional disorder, and I don't want to name any of them because I don't want to, poke and prod. But if your grandmother had it, then it's a possibility that some of that came off to your mother. And then it came off over to you. And so we have to take these things into consideration, that we're carrying a lot of traumas and traumatic expressions inside of us. I'm not saying that they actually are ours, but until we aim to acknowledge them and as best we can disassociate from them and learn the root origin causes, whatever we can, to make sure that we don't just continuously perpetuate these cycles inside of ourselves, we minimize how much our babies become susceptible to when it's stress related. Life is full of stress. Stress is not a positive or a negative thing. It's just something that comes with life. And the more that I study, the more that I'm learning, like, holistic living is not just something that should be dressed up, packaged, and sold. It is something that should be strived for, because not having a certain quality of it, everything is at risk. Everything is at risk. If every part of life has stress attached to it and you don't know how to handle stress because you have all these triggers, where are your babies going to turn to when they need help? Because it won't be you. You have too much that you haven't worked through, and so you can't handle the pressure for them. You can't walk them through the pressure to help them get out of the place that they're in because you hadn't sat with your own stuff. And so it's just time that as a woman, we really learn what is in there. The inner dimensions, again, of you, that's just your stuff. It's like, take it and sit and think. If you have to write it down, pen and paper, put them together, make it happen. But we have to, and I say we because it's easier to be a part of it than to remove myself. We have to get to a place where we are doing this deep-rooted work. If we can do it before we have children, Alhamdulillah, all praise and thanks to the source. But because most of us already have arrived at the state where we have children, and we're blessed and very fortunate to now know that we can do better, let's continue to perpetuate that, because the babies, we have girls, the babies are carrying our future grandbabies and our future grandbabies and our future. We are not just going to continue to arrive here, but we are going to continue to arrive at the future. Let's make that healthy. Let's make that happy. Let's make that holistic, And so our sons have to see very specific quality women, to not marry the opposite. I'm not going to touch on that just yet, because I have a whole thing about raising boys. Being a religious woman is showing me that we put an emphasis on guarding the girls and covering the girls. But what about our sons? What is the level of discipline that they need? What is the level of guarding their chastity that they need? And so I'll go into that another day. But yeah, the inner dimensions of womanhood is worthy of you sitting down. Stop, and I don't mean stop like hitting your hand. I mean just like stop absorbing everything that everyone's doing and making it your own. You should be able to look out the world and pick and choose what's best for you, and then see yourself growing into it. And I still love Mary J, by the way. I don't fall out of love that easy. However, my adult version of me has, I think, outgrown a lot of her ensembles. Let me say it that way. And so, all praise and thanks to Allah, to the Most High, to Yah, to God, whomever you pray to, it's your business. I'm just grateful that in all of my traveling to and fro, that I've arrived at a place in which I wake up in the morning blessed and grateful to be myself. Alanisa Sada Salahadin. And with that being said, I hope this has been useful. I hope you have enjoyed what I've said. I hope you find something in it valuable, and as always, it is a pleasure. This is Her and Her Dean. Please like, comment, subscribe, share. I wish to be as supportive to the sisters of faith as I can. Like I said, if there's brothers, I appreciate you as well. Share. If not now, then when? Because the women we need help, we need support, we need to be encouraged. They say in our prayers, and we need that. We need help being guided to the straight path. We need to learn our own value and our own worth, and we need to learn how to put that on display so that we don't lose nothing, so that our babies don't have to start over from scratch, because they don't know that we tried. Sorry, y'all, I have to move my camera because I'm being pent up. I'm kind of hemmed up right now. Mustafa is behind me, and then Fatima is in front of me, and then the sun is gone. Mustafa, did you see the sunset? Yes. Yeah. Anywho, thank you again. I am, yes, over there. I am Alanisa Sada Salahadin, and this is Her and Her Dean. Mustafa, you say walaikum salam? Walaikum salam warahmatullahi wabarakatuhu. Until next time, make a little holistic peace every day. Later.